Hi all, hope you're all doing well. In this video, we are looking at putting a DIY guitar kit together. Now, I know there's a lot of videos on YouTube putting DIY guitar kits together, so they've been covered pretty extensively, but I thought in this video we would take a more relaxed approach. It's going to be less of a tutorial and more of a why don't you just come along and do this with me, really. It was basically a situation where I was going to build the kit anyway, and I thought I might as well film it and put it up on YouTube for you guys, just so you can see the process and kind of, you know, do some guitar kit ASMR or something along with me. So the guitar kit in question is a Artist Guitars Les Paul style kit. So I'm going to flick the camera over and I'm going to have a look at the parts. And we're going to talk a bit about what this project is hopefully going to look like at the end. So I have begun the unboxing process already and I have had a quick look at it. So let's start with the parts here. So we have all the standard, you know, pick guard, and I think these are the pickups. Now the pickups have the easy clip system on that, which means the pots, which I believe are in here, have the easy clip-on pots. Now we're actually going to change that because we're going to do something different with this kit. We're not using all the standard parts like we normally would. We're going to do something a little bit different. But as you can see, it has all the standard bits and bobs, the bridge, the tuners, all that sort of stuff. Even comes with a set of strings, which we are not putting on. Let's have a look at the neck though. So here is our guitar neck. Now I might just put the camera down while I get this out and then film again. So here is the neck and the body. I've just taken them both out of their packaging. So let's have a look at the neck first. Now these artist kits are assembled at the factory to make sure they all fit together well. So in theory, we should be all good to go. Now this is a maple neck, which is unusual for a Les Paul style guitar. As you can see, the scarf joint there. It has, I think it's called an Eco Rosewood fretboard, which is not rosewood. It's some sort of other wood that looks vaguely like rosewood, although it's very stripy and not very rosewoody, but I'm not too fussed about that. It's kind of black rather than brown, but that's all right. It'll do the job. It's got the classic artist style Les Paul headstock, which I actually think looks really good and is probably only a bit of carving away there to look like a Gibson headstock, so that's pretty cool. The body is, I believe it is just poplar, but I could be wrong. I'll correct myself if that is the case. Now, it looks like to me a one-piece body, except for here. So it's almost a one-piece body. It's just the second piece is that big, barely the width of a finger. But I'll take that. It is a nice, you know, one-piece body for the most part. Or is that, I can't tell if that there, no, maybe that's a second piece as well. Can't tell if it's grain or a second piece. No, it does look like a second piece. Sorry, camera lost focus a little bit there, but that's okay. But, you know, it is what it is. They do have a flame maple top kit, but I wanted a solid finish on the top of this guitar, so didn't bother with that. It is a nice carved top. Feels fairly smooth, although it will need a bit of sanding before we put the paint on. So that's what we're working with. Now let me talk you through what we're going to do with this Les Paul kit. So I bought this kit because it was becoming more and more evident that I needed a really cheap beat around guitar for work. I do a lot of various music things in work, but often in environments where instruments and amps and stuff are getting beat up. So I needed to bring along a guitar that I didn't really care about, but would still sound okay and was still something I was familiar with. In terms of the Les Paul shape, it's actually not my favorite shape in the world, but I do like the look of it, and more importantly, the pickups and the wiring, the four knobs and the two pickups lends itself to what I wanted sound-wise. So this is my main Les Paul guitar. It is a Vantage Les Paul Standard, which is a Les Paul copy made by Samick. And what I'm going to do is, what we have here is a Vanson HB P90 pickup in the neck and a Seymour Duncan distortion clone in the bridge. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take those pickups out of this guitar and I'm going to put it in our guitar kit there. We also have on this guitar a phase reversal switch and a boost switch. So the boost switch is going to stay on this guitar. The phase reversal switch is going to switch onto the other guitar because I want this to be a more traditional Les Paul, you know, kind of go for the 50s wiring thing with the boost switch added. So I actually ordered some Artist bullbucker guitars from the Artist website when I got this guitar kit. They're going to go on this guitar with some more traditional wiring, and I'm going to take some of the features and the pickups from that guitar and put it in our guitar kit. Hi, Editing Dan here. I just wanted to jump in real quickly and say I actually didn't do any of the phase switching or any of the fancy wiring in this guitar kit at the end of the day. I really thought about it and I realized I don't really use the phase switch that much in that Les Paul up there, so why would I put it in this guitar? So pretty straightforward wiring at the end of the day. Now, in terms of the look I'm going to go with this guitar kit, I have made a mock-up on the Halo Guitars website. If you haven't heard of Halo Guitars, they do really awesome custom guitars, but what I use that website for a lot is just the custom guitar configurator, which is an amazing resource for guitarists who just want to muck around and, you know, come up with new interesting guitar designs. So I've got a mock-up of what I want this guitar to look like that I'll pop up on screen now. So check out their website if you haven't checked them out already. I feel bad because I use their website a lot but never buy anything because I'll never be able to afford anything from them, but you know, very cool website, and if you can afford to get something from them, check them out. So we're gonna go with that kind of white sparkly gloss top with a natural back, and on the back of the neck we're gonna go with the matching headstock and matching back of the headstock. In terms of the actual neck itself, where we're putting our hands to play the guitar, I'm not sure if I'm going to go a white satin finish or a clear gloss or a clear satin. Still yet to decide on that. We'll figure it out as we go along, I think. But the first step is going to be to sand down the parts that we are going to paint. So we're going to start with the body and then do the headstock and stuff as well and go from there. So I'm not going to film that because that's very boring. We might feel the spray painting when we get to that. So next time you see me, we'll be ready to paint this guitar. I'm gonna jump in here real quick because I forgot to mention it at the very start of this video. I do have an affiliate link with Artist Guitars, which is in the description below, if you wanna use that. Now, this doesn't mean I'm sponsored by Artist Guitars or required to say anything nice about Artist Guitars. Even though this kit is from Artist Guitars, I bought it myself, my own money. That I don't even know if they, I don't think they know I exist as a YouTuber. I actually don't remember how I got the affiliate link. I think I did a review of one of their guitars years ago and they just said, here, have an affiliate link just in case. But that was before, you know, they gave me the link after I did that first review. I've done a couple of their products since, yeah, not sponsored. So just wanted to put that out there. But use the link below if you want to get something from Artist Guitars. Okay, it's voiceover Dan here. I just wanted to show you some close-ups of the different parts of the body. So obviously that's one piece, and here you can see it is clearly another piece or two pieces joined together. So we do have a three-piece body, which is not a problem at all. Just thought I would point it out. It also looks like there is some sort of cap or top on the actual guitar. I'm not sure what the deal is there, but there's two pieces, one on top of each other like a sandwich, and then there is the basswood veneer on top of that, which you can see. I also wanted to point this out, which is grain that is not running with the actual wood grain, so it looks like some scratches that were done at the factory. So that's not ideal, but that's okay. So here's where we're at with the first coat of white paint. So the headstock has dripped in a couple of places, but that's okay because the next step is going to be sanding it back and doing another layer, just so we get it really flat. Hopefully see no grain, or at least as little grain as possible on the top of the body anyway, and the headstock. If we have to, we can do another layer of this after we've sanded this back, and if it's still not flat, then we might do a clear coat and then another layer of white, just so it's really building up. But that's where we're at so far. So in between coats of paint on our DIY Les Paul project, I put the Artist bullbuckers in here and took the pickups that are going into the DIY project out of this guitar, and it looks like a Les Paul again. And it also sounds fantastic. These pickups really make your Les Paul just sound like a great Les Paul. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so what I'm gonna do with the third coat of paint is I think I'm going to leave it on the headstock for now. I might do a gloss coat now because I don't want it too thick on the headstock. And I might just do one more coat on the body without sanding it in between. And then we'll do some gloss coats to try and get it flattened out a bit. All right, so here's where we're at with day 2. The paint has been drying overnight. So I think on the headstock, you can still see the grain, but I think we're gonna go with the next layer anyway, because I don't want it too thick on the headstock since it's blending into the neck. I want that to be a smooth transition. This is not meant to be the perfect, you know, factory finished job. This is obviously a homemade job. So I'm just gonna do what I wanna do. So we're gonna do the first layer of our sparkle clear coat, which is gonna go 2 layers on the top of the headstock, 1 layer on the back. Then we're gonna take this paint back, this tape back, sorry. And then we're gonna do gloss, plain gloss without the sparkle tool about there. And then I think we're gonna do just a satin or matte finish on the rest of the neck. In terms of the body, I am gonna sand this back one more time and then do maybe 1 or 2 more layers of the white paint before we start doing the sparkle gloss. So let's get that done now. So here's our Dulux sparkle glitter sort of effect. So let me quickly show you what guitar has inspired this kind of finish. So we're kind of going after this vibe. Now this was my first good guitar I ever got. It is an Ibanez Talman TC825 model. And as you can see, the finish is a really great silver sparkle. Now, we're not going for that look exactly. I want it to be a more subtle sparkle, which I think this paint does very well. But that's the sort of vibe that's inspired this finish. So you can see the first layer of sparkle kind of on there. Now, on the front of the headstock, we're gonna layer that up with a fair few layers, just so it's pretty sparkly. On the back, that's probably it. You're gonna take the tape off and then do a plain gloss a bit further down the neck, which will then evolve into satin. So I'm gonna do the plain gloss all over the headstock just to seal that sparkle in. But that's the sort of vibe we're going for. You can kind of see it's collected a bit up there, but that's all right. Part of the project, part of the fun. Okay, so here's where we're at this morning. It's a Monday. We've done a couple of layers over the weekend of the white and then the sparkle gloss, and we're about to do the regular gloss all over. So here's our neck. Got a fair amount of sparkle on it, which is nice. Now, off camera, I did drop the neck, or the neck was balancing on here drying, and it fell forward and hit the carpet or the rug, which has given it, you might be able to see some imperfections in the finish there, but that's okay. It's a home job project, so I'm not too fussed about that. We've now lowered the scarf where the gloss starts, so we're gonna go from the white gloss down to a gloss, and then the rest I think we're going to do like a matte finish. So we've got this Dulux here to do the rest of the neck. Here is our body. So we've done the same thing. We're about to put a clear non-sparkle gloss coat on the top. That's going to go over the whole body, the back wood and the gloss top as well. So as you can see, when I was taking the tape off, the wood has splintered a bit. So I'm just going to sand around the sides to kind of knock back the top layer so it's even with the binding, as well as knock back that wood a bit. But that's where we're at. I think it's come out really, really nice. Okay, so we've got the first coat of the plain clear coat gloss finish on. So no sparkle in this one. It's gone all over the body, the back and the front. And this is really just to get us started to seal the wood. We'll do another coat and then we'll sand it back, and then we'll start getting, or try to get, a proper shiny clear coat gloss. So that's where we're at. And our neck is drying over here as well. So we'll do another coat on that before we just go back to the matte as well. All right, well, let's have a better look at this body and neck with this weird light stream going through me, but that's okay. So here is our finished headstock. You can see it's not perfect, but as I'm reiterating, that's the spirit of these DIY projects, hey? So there's our neck. Let's have a closer look at the body. So the gloss finish is honestly not very glossy on the back. It's a little bit shiny, you can see there. There's also a fair bit of white paint that somehow ended up on the back and just wouldn't come off with some sanding. But that's okay. Again, spirit of DIY. It's all a bit of fun. So there's our Les Paul body. Nice and sparkly. You can still see the grain kind of poking through, which is kind of cool as well. But there we have it. So the next step is basically assembling it all together with the hardware and stuff. I'm not going to film a whole lot of that because you would have seen it a million times on other DIY videos. I'm just going to pick up the camera and film things as I go here and there just to kind of structure this build together. And then I'll do some really nice sweep over shots of the final product outside in some good lighting. Then we'll hear it, see how it sounds. So the first issue we're coming across in assembly is this bridge doesn't really fit onto the posts now that they've been installed. I'll keep at it, and I do have other spare bridges and stuff, but yeah, it's not really, you can just see the bridge looks, let's get it back on there, it looks a little bit too wide. So that might be an issue. Okay, here's where we're at just before wiring everything up. I must say it was a pain in the ass to get all the wires through this little hole. There is a lot of wires from the switch, from the pickups, from everything. And it's because I tried to keep this plug system for things that I wasn't resoldering, like the switch. But gee, it's a pain in the ass. They take up so much space, these little plug things that they have, which is great for beginners because it means there's no soldering. But, you know, it's really annoying. I imagine if you were trying to get all the plugs through, it would be an absolute nightmare. So, you know, that's very frustrating. All right, so we've kind of finished it. This is, oh, I'm sitting, what's going on with the cable? I've rolled over it. I've kind of finished the project. Here is where we're at. It's all assembled. It's all working. So that's good. All the wiring seems to be working. I must say the clips were a nightmare. I know they're meant to be beginner friendly so you don't have to do any soldering yourself, but man, just trying to get them through all the holes and stuff, very frustrating. I would not recommend going that route. You'll also notice when we do some close-ups at the very end, because we're not finished just yet, that the fit and finish of a lot of the parts and hardware is pretty average, which is to be expected for such a cheap guitar kit. It fits together like a very cheap kit, but you know, the thing that's important is how does it play? This is not set up at all. I put the strings on, tuned it up, and that's all I've done so far, and it doesn't play bad at all. So it's going pretty good so far. So the next step is I'm going to let this sit overnight with the strings on it so the wood can kind of adjust and do all that stuff it needs to do. Then we're going to set it up. The fretboard is incredibly dry. The frets are very scratchy. The intonation and the action is actually not bad at all. The intonation is way off. We'll get the truss rod where it needs to be. We'll get the pickups balanced in terms of the height, so the sound is a bit more balanced, but it's functioning, and that's awesome. So we'll wait to do some sweep over shots once it's all set up and the fretboard's looking lovely. But yeah, I'm pretty happy so far. It's a good fun project. It always is, DIY guitars. I will compare, oh, I just knocked the tool off. I will compare it to my other DIY guitar once it's finished. I can already tell my other DIY guitar is miles ahead, even though there are similarly priced kits. My other DIY guitar kit has had a lot more work put into it. Okay, so here we are the next morning. Just wanted to give you a closer look at the fretboard You can kind of see how dry it is and how unpolished the frets are. So I just thought I would shoot a quick before shot so you can see how much better it's going to be after. Polishing the frets is a really underrated way and really simple way to make your guitar feel a lot better when playing. Makes the frets less scratchy when you're bending and doing vibrato and stuff. It just makes the whole thing a bit smoother and easier to play. Really underrated thing to do. So if you've never polished frets before, all you need is one of these little guard things that go around the fret to protect the fretboard, and then you just rub some steel wool over the fret without hitting the fretboard, hence the fret guard protector thing, and it shines up the frets real nice. So you can already see a difference there, and I've been polishing it for 5 seconds at most. So we're going to go do that across all the frets. Makes a big difference. So there you go. We've got our polished fret and our unpolished fret. Now I've been polishing them for about 5 seconds on each fret. So the difference isn't massive, but you can still see it pretty well there. This fret is just a lot duller. Well, like I said, I'm not sure what this wood is. I think it's called Eco Rosewood, which is some mystery wood. I'll put it up on the screen, whatever it is, but it is soaking up that lemon oil like an absolute champion. It was so dry because it's almost all gone immediately and I just finished applying it. So I reckon we'll do 2 layers to really get this fretboard nice and moist, for lack of a better term. But there you go. Seems to be working well. All right, here we are. Here's the finished product. I must say it looks pretty good on camera. If you see me looking up at the screen and not directly at you, it's because I'm looking at the what the camera is seeing, so I can get the angles okay for the guitar. But yeah, I think it looks pretty good. From here, kind of just looks like a white guitar with a natural back. Once you get a bit closer, which I'll do some close-ups for because this camera won't focus, you can really see it is a sparkle with kind of a worn, rubbed in gloss finish. So let's talk a bit about this project overall. So I've got it plugged into an amp and a little pedal board, but the amp is not marked up or anything. So the kit itself is a pretty budget guitar kit, and that is reflected in the quality that you get. So the frets probably need a level and to be crowned. The nut needs to be cut. I might do the nut myself. I'm not going to do the frets myself. I probably won't worry about them because I can make it work okay. The bridge and the hardware is pretty cheap. The electronics are pretty cheap. It's all stuff that you would expect. Don't take this as complaints from me, because if you're expecting anything more from such a budget kit, I think you need to readjust your expectations a bit, sorry. But the problem that some people may face is, because it is such a cheap kit and all the electronics are solderless, it's all those stupid plastic plugs, a lot of beginners are going to see this who have never done any sort of DIY stuff on a guitar before and think it's worth giving a go. And if you are a beginner who isn't a beginner DIY guy or girl who is an experienced player, then give it a go. But if you are a beginner DIY and also a beginner player, you might find it a bit difficult, not only to put together, but then quite difficult to play. So that's my only warning. But other than that, it's a pretty cool kit. The neck is quite big. I would say it's a pretty 50s Les Paul feeling neck, although the fretboard feels pretty wide for a Les Paul. So, you know, it's kind of thick this way and wide this way. So it is it's a handful for sure. But I know a lot of guitar kits do that, so you can kind of carve the neck to whatever you'd like. But yeah, I think it sounds pretty cool. So we've got our Seymour Duncan distortion clone, not a real Seymour Duncan, in the neck, and a Vanson HB90 in the bridge. This is not labelled Seymour Duncan, that's just what it's modelled after. So we've kind of got the humbucker and the P90. What I was going for was kind of a SH layout telly vibe, which I think a lot of people say Les Pauls are kind of a telly on steroids, and I agree with that. So I've kind of got that HS telly on steroids vibe here. So it does sound pretty good, I think, even though the electronics and all the wiring and stuff, I've replaced a lot of the wiring, but the electronics and the switch are very cheap. I don't know if it's affecting sound that much. The switch itself is one of those really terrible cheap box switches, so that's no good. The jack is doing the job, the electronics are doing the job. So let's give it a quick listen, and then we're going to talk about my other DIY telly and talk about the differences between them. So let's start on the neck pickup. So remember, not mic'd up the amp, so you're just hearing the camera audio. So that neck pickup was, you might remember from the start of the video, the Les Paul it came out of. That neck pickup was originally in the bridge position and the P90 was originally in the neck position. So we've swapped them around. I think that neck pickup sounds fantastic. Really, really full, just like a classic Les Paul. It's even verging on ES335 territory with just how kind of full and, you know, just nice and kind of boomy sort of thing without being overly bassy. Let's go to the middle, which sounds really great. And finally the bridge, which is super barky and bright. Cool. So you've kind of got the really nice, mellow, full sounding neck pickup. And then I think the bridge P90 is sounding very telly, like very telly on steroids. Let's put a bit of gain on it with a Boss OD3. So, very cool sounding guitar. I'm chuffed to bits with how it sounds. It's playing okay now. So, you will have seen that I've given the fretboard some lemon oil, quite a lot of lemon oil actually. Frets have received a polish. They're not quite level, but I don't know, I feel like that's kind of to be expected with such a budget guitar. It's a shame because, like I said, for a beginner that's going to be really annoying, but it is what it is. The neck, I've put that satin finish coat on the back of the neck. If we have a look at the specs, it does say the back of the neck already had a satin finish. I don't believe that because it was very rough feeling. It still is a little rough feeling, but it's already getting smoother as I'm playing it, which is very cool. Speaking of specs, the body is roasted poplar and it had a basswood veneer, or maybe it's roasted basswood body with a poplar veneer. I can't remember. The body was listed as unfinished, which is absolutely correct. It's still kind of rough, but it's kind of cool, and it's already kind of wearing the finish on the wood and the front, you know, where I'm playing it. And I've only been playing it a couple of hours, so that's very cool. The fretboard wood, Eco Rosewood. I'm not sure what that is, but it seems to soak up a lot of lemon oil. So maybe it is a variant of rosewood. It is very dark, not a brown rosewood at all. Very kind of ebony looking, which if that's your thing, then great. But yeah, not a lot of figuring. It kind of looks like might have been, maybe it's a composite wood even. I'm not claiming anything. And I don't have a problem with composite wood at all. And that could be completely wrong. Artist Guitars, if you're watching this video, leave a comment below. What is Eco Rosewood? I've only seen it on your guitars, so you guys must know what it is. So here are my two DIY guitars. So this is a Telecaster build, obviously, from Pitbull Guitars. So let's get that in shot. You would have seen it in other videos I've done on my channel if you've watched any other videos. It is a Pitbull Guitars ash body telly, maple neck. I spent way longer getting the finish nice and smooth on this. So the finish is a lot better quality. You can see it's starting to chip in places, but that's just natural wear and tear because I play it a lot. So that's very cool. So the finish is a lot better quality. The matching headstock, let's go back, is much better quality. The neck had a gloss finish on it, which has been wearing very nicely. The frets were leveled and crowned by a luthier, proper luthier. It's received a new tusk nut by that same luthier. The only thing original from the hardware that came with this kit is the control plate and the bridge plate. So the saddles have been upgraded, all the electronics have been upgraded, pickups are upgraded, tuners, string trees, everything else has been upgraded. Bass plate, I suppose, is also the same. But this feels really great. And what's cool, and this is what is cool about DIY guitar kits, is you can kind of get exactly what you want within reason. So I wanted a Telecaster, obviously. I wanted it surf green. It's come out a bit more seafoam green, but it's starting to peel off and show the surf green layer underneath. It's got the red pickguard, which I love, the pickups, which I wanted, the big Jazzmaster headstock, which I think looks very cool. And it's got all the specs that I want. It plays really well. It's got the nice big neck. And it's kind of, I've got the telly that I always wanted. I spent a lot of time on this, and it's, it took me months really to get this one finished, but it's been worth it. And I think that's what's cool about DIY guitars. If you're willing to put the time in to do it properly, be methodical with it, spend a bit of money upgrading a lot of stuff, then you get the guitar you want. Now, is it cost effective? No. It would have been probably, I don't know. I probably spent, the amount I spent on the kit plus all the upgrades, I probably could have got a classic vibe, telly sort of vibe. So, a lot of people would say just get the classic vibe telly. I would agree if you can't be bothered with all this. But I got something exactly what I wanted, and I'm happier with that. It's also fun doing the DIY thing. So if DIY is fun for you, then yeah, it's worth it. Otherwise, if you just want a good telly, and you don't want to muck around, then don't do a DIY kit. So comparing it to this, which I put together in a couple of days, the finish is way rougher. It kind of looks like a stone sort of finish rather than a sparkle white, but that's okay. The setup came out pretty good that I did on it, but like I mentioned, the frets and the nut probably need addressing. The tuners are very cheap. I haven't even taken the little plastic stuff off the back of the tuners. The switch is very cheap. The electronics feel very cheap, but it is a functioning guitar. I did upgrade the pickups, as you know, and they sound very good. I'm not sure what the original pickups would have been like, but there you go. This has kind of turned into not just a video of me putting a DIY kit together for fun, it's also turned into a discussion about DIY guitar kits, I suppose. So, this might be a long video. I don't expect many people to watch it because of that, but I've got time off work, so what else have I meant to do? I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this has inspired you to give a DIY guitar a go. Maybe your experience in putting these kits together. Please comment below what your experiences are with using these kits. But I think that's it from me. That'll do for this video. It's already long enough already. So I will see you guys in the next one.